racism and religious ideologies. It is critical to remember that although pseudo-scientific arguments are often made to justify racism, the origins of racist ideas are not based in science. Racist people only use pseudo-scientific explanations to rationalize their preconceived beliefs, but this scientific information isn't the primary motivation for racism. The primary motivation for racism stems from religious beliefs. For Christian-derived racism, it is based on the same Bible passages that justified the slave trade. For the Nation of Islam, racism stems from the religious writings of the founder Wallace Farr Muhammad, who created a new religion derived from Islam that was built on black supremacy. You'll find similar origins in any other racist ideology. It all stems from superstitious ideas. Worse, there are some religious forms of racism which were imported from one religion into another. For example, while Islam has had varying levels of tolerance for religious diversity throughout the centuries, with many periods of spectacular tolerance of Jews and Christians, the racism present in Islam today primarily stems from Nazi influence. Many of the racist beliefs of the Nazis spread during World War II into the Middle East due to alliances that the Nazis formed based on shared hostilities against European powers. The Nazis also spread a great deal of propaganda in the Middle East while they occupied various territories, and modern Arab nationalism is based on the same National Socialism developed by Nazi Germany. Of course, we should never forget that Nazi racism itself has its origins in an imaginary version of the Aryans which was mythicized by practitioners of theosophy. Ironically, theosophy itself derives from Jewish mysticism, which serves to illustrate that superstitious ideas can very easily be used to justify committing atrocities against those who originated the superstitious ideas to start with. It is important to stress that adopting racist ideas of any sort does nothing to end racism. It merely promotes a different kind of racism. The only way to end racism is for humanity to completely abandon a belief that human races exist at all. Old grudges based on ethnic histories must be shed and solidarity between all peoples embraced. Blood guilts and hatreds must be let go. There is no other way. Human diversity. We must not allow racism to masquerade as multiculturalism. Celebration of human cultures is quite good because it helps us feel connected to our ancestors, but when it becomes ethnic nationalism, it becomes nothing more than institutionalized racism. To tolerate this kind of racism allows our society to succumb to it due to a cowardice to confront evil. The rationalization of atrocities we commit to one another has historically been the notion that people in other families, communities, cultures and nations are unrelated to ourselves, which is factually incorrect as scientific inquiry into human genetics has taught us. In order to create a genuine end to the problem of racism, each and every one of us must be willing to change our way of thinking in order to identify with fellow humans as one species. We are not isolated cultures with no allegiance to one another. We are one species, and that species is called human. This is a common humanity approach to multiculturalism, as opposed to the common enemy identity politics approach that is in vogue among adherents of racist ideologies such as critical race theory. It's okay to be confident about your strengths and even proud of an ethnic heritage, but you mustn't get too conceited. Everyone has something they excel at and find joy in, and while some talents may be more useful for certain kinds of things, everyone has useful qualities that can be employed to serve society. And if you do not possess the skill you want, you must either find some other potential within yourself or work hard to cultivate the talent you desire. You should not have to belittle others in order to find value in yourself. Similarly, you should not base your value only on what possessions you have, or what achievements you have accomplished, or what talents you possess, or even what ethnicity you descend from. These things can build confidence, but the flip side is that you develop a fear of losing these things, and that can strain your relationships with others as you become threatened by their successes, or worse, if you lose the things you think define you and make you special, you can succumb to deep depression. Be mindful of the things you have accomplished and the special qualities you have, but do not become obsessed about them. You are your mind. Everything else is but decoration. Additionally, we should not allow ourselves to become swallowed in the desire to maintain the status quo simply because we don't know anything else. We should live ethical lives, and ethical is not the same as ethnical. By getting along with others and making memories, we create stability in communities and add new value of dimension to our lives. This is what humans should focus on cultivating instead of racist ideologies. In closure on this topic, the racial divides in human civilizations must close, and they can be closed. We are not defined by our ethnicities, but rather by those ideologies which we choose to adopt. We must recognize that humans now belong to a global community, and as members of this community we are all truly in this together, and we must help one another. Because we have a choice in what we believe, we can choose to close the racial divide by adopting an ideology that preaches that all humans are one species. Chivalric humanism is such a belief system.